Hey there, Libra. Welcome to your reading for this is going to be a Mercury retrograde reading. Your first row is going to represent the past cycle that you're dealing with during this retrograde. Again, this retrograde is from November 9th to the 29th. You have this card that says the end of a cycle, a tough cycle approaches, and you have this card that says step out of a comfort zone. I would say that this retrograde seems to be positive. Like, there's definitely the typical, retrograde confusion stuff that has come up for everyone, but overall, it has been a little bit more, I would say, on the positive side of things, which is good. A lot of people getting answers, having breakthroughs, things like that, which again, I think retrogrades get a bad rap in the astrology anyway, because they are necessary. They can be very helpful for things like breakthroughs and stuff like that. And so you definitely could be ending a cycle by, getting some answers here. Especially, I was saying answers because of the Queen of Swords, but now you have the Eight of Wands, and the Eight of Wands can also represent like getting an answer or seeing something clearly or more clearly. And yes, retrogrades can bring in clarity, especially based off of anything that you have been working on or doing in your life here, Libra. And so there could be a lot of clarity. You start here, again, your first row is going to represent the past cycle that you're dealing with during this retrograde, and you have the Ace of Cups. The Ace of Cups can be happiness, your emotions overflowing. A lot of these readings have also talked about kind of like focusing more on happiness or being more happy. This comes up for you a lot. You don't have it in this reading, but I've noticed that this year, 2025, that a lot of your readings have had the Ten of Cups. And so it seems to me like the universe is trying to get Libra to do more things that make you happy, do things that cause you to, overflow or something like that. And sorry, this is in the wrong spot. You have no clue what I'm talking about because it's over here. It's my microphone. But anyway, what I would say is I think there's a lot of happiness that could be coming in for you. There has been a little bit of love in these readings. And, of course, Ace of Cups can represent a love offer coming in for you. Again, you don't have to accept it, but again, like I always say, it's like just because it's a Mercury retrograde, that's not going to stop someone from being interested in you, right? And I do kind of feel a little bit of love in this reading. So like I said, if you want it, it's available to you. You have the Nine of Wands. So you have this card that says step out of a comfort zone. And with the Nine of Wands, it kind of, not really, but kind of is a card of stepping out of a comfort zone because it's a card of like throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. So it's an amazing card for experimentation, trying new things, trying to come up with new ways of doing things. You end with the Two of Wands, which is definitely a card of stepping out of a comfort zone. We'll talk about it more in a minute. But I would say that any experimentation you can do would be very beneficial. Again, Uranus is in Gemini. Now, Uranus will retrograde back into Taurus in the middle of the month here, but what I would say is it's already entered into Gemini. So for you air signs, experimentation, just in all areas of life is going to be extremely, extremely beneficial for you. And I would just be trying new things. Again, I always say I have a lot of air in my chart personally, a good amount. And other than Earth, it's, pretty much dominates my chart. And, what I would say is I've been doing a lot of experimenting. You can look at my shorts. I've been experimenting with shorts this month, for example. Actually, technically until the end of the year, we're doing 90 days as usual, right? And so trying your crazy, wacky ideas, those are the things that are going to make you stand out the most. You have the King of Wands. I do feel love here for some reason. So, again, it could be a fire sign. It could be like fire with earth or earth with fire that is coming in for you here just based off the reading. And, again, it could be a very bold, assertive person. I always say I think it's perfectly fine to date during a Mercury retrograde. People who say don't do things during Mercury retrogrades, it's like, well, if you're going to follow that rule, those rules that specifically, you might as well not even breathe because that's what astrology wants you to do. It wants you to live in a bubble and all sorts of stuff. So if you're going to follow one rule, you have to follow them all. And what I would say here is like, again, sure, could something happen? Sure. But, I always say dating during retrogrades is good because if the person is going to screw up, they're going to screw up right away. It's like, I'd rather know that someone is a bozo, like, in a month than wait 6 months and waste 6 months of my life on a bozo, right? So to me, it's a good thing. And if they're not a bozo, then it will be good after the retrograde. Again, astrology doesn't stop anything that's meant for you from happening, so you might as well do it. I would also say we are in a bold time. Again, next year, at the end of February, Saturn will enter back into Aries, your opposite sign. And it's, that Saturn in Aries is definitely going to require you, Libra, to have to be bold, assertive. Like your Saturn in Aries is very loud. We're going to see, I think we're going to see a lot of loud energy, especially starting next year. And even after Saturn leaves Aries, we're still going to have Neptune there. So I don't think it's going to quiet down anytime soon. But on a personal level, we have to be loud for the right reasons. And if we do that, we'll stand out. With the Ace of Cups, you have the Death card. A lot of you could be processing all forms of love in your life is kind of the feeling I get here. It's like you could be deciding what you do love, how you can bring more of a love energy into your life. And again, that doesn't mean people necessarily. It could mean the hobbies that you have, the things that fulfill you, the things that cause you to overflow with that Ace of Cups. And for some reason with this Death card, death normally represents change. But again, I'm not really getting change on the card. It's more saying to me that you're processing. You're just that could lead to changes, absolutely. But I think you're looking at the things that you do work on, and you're saying, this brings in good energy, this thing doesn't, and you're just kind of making decisions from there, right? With the Nine of Wands, you have the Eight of Wands. Yes, experimentation is the fast track to success, plain and simple. I've been saying it since, 2022, because that's really when this experimentation energy started to kind of kick off in the astrology. Again, the innovators are going to be the ones that really take off. And again, it's not even really innovation. We just have to have different perspectives. We just have to, look for other ways to stand out in whatever it is that we're doing. And that is the thing that will fast track your success the most, especially as an air sign. With the King of Wands, you have the Three of Cups. Yeah, you could be meeting a person through friends or through a group of people or through spending time with a group of people. I feel all that would be really good for you, Libra. Socializing. As with all air signs, I think you air signs, there's something about air sign energy right now that is really encouraging air signs to spend more time with concentrated connections. I always say Three of Cups is my card of those those quality connections, those people who really, really support you, the people who really want the best for you, and maybe even the people that challenge you in a good way. And that's what I would be focusing on right now. It's not so much about spending time with a bunch of people. It's more about, surrounding yourself with those people who kind of lift you up. And that's what I would do with the Three of Cups. Next, we're going to look at what you need to pay closer attention to during this Mercury retrograde. You have this Wizard card. It says, use your skills to aid others. You have this Hourglass. It says, time is of the essence. Yes, we all have skills that we need to be using. Again, Pluto and Aquarius as well for you air signs. Pluto and Aquarius, it's Pluto is where we get our power. And so in Aquarius, it's anything that benefits the collective. And this says, use your skills to aid others. Now, this is not self-sacrifice. That's the big difference, right? Is you might be thinking oh, I have to help others, I have to sacrifice myself, which is typical of spiritual people. But that's not what we should be doing. What we should be doing is being an inspiration to other people as much as we possibly can. So that could mean doing hard things or doing things that are a challenge and overcoming the challenge and then sharing your story so other people can be inspired by what you're doing, things like that. And if you do that, then things will go very, very well. You have the Seven of Wands, the Queen of Swords, and the Six of Swords. Seven of Wands is a card of conviction. It's a card that says when you know that something is going to be successful, when you truly believe it and brainwash yourself into it, then whatever it is will be successful. You have the Nine of Wands and the Seven of Wands. The Nine of Wands is the card of perseverance. The Seven of Wands is the card of persistence. You have to be persistent to be perseverant. So, these two cards work very, very well together. And they're both cards of putting up boundaries as well, which I think is another thing that has come up for you quite a bit, Libra, over the past many years. And so, having healthy boundaries would be a good idea. You have the Queen of Swords. Almost everybody has had the Queen of Swords. Again, retrogrades, especially Mercury retrograde, of course, can bring in a lot of clarity. She is clear for the first time. She is has these clouds halfway up her body, and she's seeing into the future more clearly. She is looking over to the Ten of Swords in your reading, and so this could say you are finally seeing what you need to cut out of your life, which is, again, I think this has been a theme for Libra for a long time, that there are certain things that are a waste of time. There are some things that are not a waste of time. And it's the more you focus on cutting out the crap, the more likely it is that you're going to find fulfillment with the Nine of Cups. So I think that, kind of like looking at some things that you don't want to necessarily look at would be a really good idea for you, Libra. Anything that's like wasting your time, taking too much time, all that. You have the Six of Swords. Again, this row is representing what needs closer attention. And so I feel you moving on to calmer shores needs closer attention for sure. It's like this is kind of saying to me that during this retrograde, you could probably create a lot of improvement or a certain level of ease in your life. Six of Swords, they're hoping for a brighter future. And so they're moving on from everything that they've known and they're making a complete change. And I think it's no mistake that we go up to the Ten of Swords to the Two of Wands here. It's like Ten of Swords says something is dead, done, over with. Two of Wands would be the change. Like he has to get out into the world there that he's holding on to. He has to take the lead in his own life, and he has to make the change happen. So it's like this reading is clearly asking you to like move on from something and so that you can have something better. Here we go. With the Seven of Wands, you have the Two of Wands again. So Two of Wands is about taking the lead, taking control, really making something happen. It's funny because in your next row, you have this 10th house card that says authority on it. It's like you are taking authority over your own life with the Two of Wands. He has to realize that something stands on its own. I literally feel that this is the hardest part of being alive right now, is that, because Pluto went from Capricorn to Aquarius, the cusp of Capricorn and Aquarius there is like the death of establishment. So we all have something in our lives, probably, that stands on its own. And we're all being asked to do something else or like to move on from something that we have built, which is very hard because it's like if you've built something that supports you, it's hard to move on from it. But, I think what people need to realize is it's like we're not letting go of it. It's like the thing that is built in our life, it is still there. It's still established in our life. We're just being asked to like expand our kingdoms, right? That's like what everybody's being asked to do. And, it is a little bit of a challenge because it's kind of crazy in a time like we're in right now to walk away from something that supports you to go build something new. With the Queen of Swords, you have the Empress. Empress is like total abundance and success. Very good card. It is also ease, and ease has been a major theme in 2025. That doesn't mean that things are going to be easy, but I think the universe is trying to get people to make things easier on themselves, whatever that means for you. And the Empress represents ease because all she has to do is wave that scepter that she's holding on to and the wheat in front of her grows. So she's doing things in a less difficult way, right? And we're all being asked to discover ways to do things that are less difficult, that are easier on us. She also is like focusing on gratitude. It's another thing that has kind of popped up during these readings is it could be like a good month or a good time for people to really make sure that they're focusing on being grateful and, kind of making time for gratitude. With the Six of Swords, you have the Magician. Yeah, the Magician says that you can have whatever you want, right? The Magician wants us to manifest and wants us to use our tools, which kind of came up for you because you have this card that says use your skills to aid others. He has a lot of skills. He has mastery over all the suits in the tarot right here in front of him, but he has to make sure that he's using the right tool for the job. What I think is interesting is that he's connected to the Eight of Wands here twice, and he's pointing over to the Eight of Wands. Like I said, Eight of Wands is quick success or quick conclusion. I feel like Eight of Wands is kind of like you speeding up your life in some way. Next, we're going to look at the hidden messages coming in for you at this time during the retrograde. You have this Journey card in this 10th house. It says Authority card. Yeah, it's like only you can take control over your reality at this time, or the journey or the path that you're on right now. And, I kind of feel this is, a long-term theme for Libra. I think Libras are going to be taking more authority over their lives. And we've talked about it before. I'm pretty sure in many of your readings, we've talked about how it seems to me like Libra is not going to listen to people so much anymore. And that doesn't mean you're not listening to people in your life or anything like that. But I feel like you're kind of like putting yourself first more. Empress is putting yourself first. And so, the example I think I always give you is like if your parents paid for college, for example, and you went to college to be a doctor, but you want to do something else, it's like old Libra might be afraid of disappointing their parents. New Libra now I think is like, no, I'm going to put myself first and do what I want. And so I think a lot of you are in that space. And this isn't just parents. This is like everything, right? Libra, make sure to leave a comment. Really helps me out, by the way. But you have the Five of Cups, the Ten of Swords, and the Eight of Wands also in the area of hidden messages coming in for you. Again, the solution to the Five of Cups is gratitude. Like I said, pretty much everyone has had something about gratitude. I think there are, of course, there's a lot of reasons to be miserable and upset right now. I'm not discounting what's going on, but we do have to focus on some good stuff. And even if it's something small, I think changing your focus to what's good will lead to this bridge and this castle over here. He's grieving the loss of something he no longer enjoys. That's the whole point of the card. But he's sad about something he doesn't even want to do anymore. All he has to do is turn around and see these two cups. Then he'll get this bridge in this castle. And that's definitely something that I would be thinking about with the Five of Cups is freedom. It's I'll give you a great example. As well, Libra, I have another business that I'm basically just giving to a friend, more or less. I'm going to get a little bit of money out of it, but I'm losing money on this business. But the amount of time that I am gaining by giving it away is much, much more valuable, right? It's it only took me about 3 years to realize that it's not really a waste of time. I think most people would probably call me crazy for giving it away, but at the same time, it's going to give me more time to focus on things that I actually want to do, right? And those are the difficult decisions that I think we have to make right now. It really wasn't a difficult decision, actually. It's when I made it, I immediately felt about 30 pounds lighter, right? So, I don't know. It's I think we could be having these things where we're worried that we're going to regret something, but really we have so much more to gain. And, I feel like this is encouraging you to realize that. You have the Ten of Swords. Ten of Swords says something is dead, done, over with in your life. And Ten of Swords is actually a blessing in disguise. He's making the same symbol right here with his hand that the Hierophant is making on his card. So personally, I like the Ten of Swords because it's usually something we have to let go of anyway. It's really not a bad thing. It's yeah, you could be making a difficult decision or a choice, but usually it's a good thing with the Ten of Swords. And again, we have the Death card, so you're definitely undergoing some sort of transformation. You also have that card that says the end of a tough cycle approaches. So obviously, whatever this is ending a tough cycle for you. You have the Eight of Wands. Eight of Wands is a quick success or a quick conclusion. So a lot of you could be having a quick success at this time. There's definitely something about speed in this reading. You have that Hourglass card that says time is of the essence. Now, I definitely wouldn't rush right now. Even if we didn't have a retrograde, let's pretend that Mercury was direct, I would still say 2025 is a really bad year for rushing. I did say that pretty much all year. So, again, I wouldn't rush, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about making things smoother, and it's when you make things smoother, usually they speed up, right? And when you focus on working on the right things as well, things typically speed up. So, that's where we should be getting our speed, is by becoming more efficient in what we're doing, or taking our time back like I did, right? And so doing those types of things is going to be very beneficial. And that's what I would do. Eight of Wands, it could be a very social time for you. Again, even though it's a retrograde, still, you have a lot of cards of socializing here. With the Five of Cups, you have the Seven of Cups. Yeah, it's this is the hardest part of Neptune and Pisces, which we have Neptune retrograde in Pisces until, it's going to move back into Aries in January. But what I would say is seeing the future. It's when Neptune is not in Pisces, I don't really think we see the future, but it's maybe we can have a prediction. We can say oh, if I do this, I'm going to get this result, right? It's we can make a prediction. When Neptune is in Pisces, there's something about it that I think makes it really hard to be able to say I will reach this milestone by this time, And so it's harder to predict how things are going to go in our life with Neptune and Pisces in some ways. And really, I think what Neptune and Pisces is trying to get us to do is to make our own decisions, because Neptune and Pisces is traditional belief. And so, when we set out to accomplish a goal, we might be looking for feedback from people. We might want people to tell us this is a good idea, or yes, go and do that, right? When Neptune's in Pisces, we don't get that. We don't get the feedback. And so Neptune and Pisces is trying to get us to trust ourselves on a deeper level and to make our own decisions, right? That's part of it. And yeah, I think that is just the energy, right, that you're dealing with. With the Ten of Swords, you have the Ten of Swords. So the universe saying, I meant what I said. So you're just probably letting something go. With the Eight of Wands, sure, we'll take both. You have the Temperance card and the Eight of Pentacles. Yeah, this retrograde is happening in Sagittarius, or it's starting in Sagittarius. So Temperance is Sag. Eight of Pentacles is straightforward, diligent work. Yes, I mean, this is like literally saying that if you just focus on one thing, which a lot of people have been getting that message lately, if you just focus on one thing and finish it, it will probably move you forward faster than if you focus on 900 things and try to get a bunch of stuff done. So there is like a need for focus, or a need to, kind of pick a goal and just make it happen no matter what, even without the feedback, like I said, with the Seven of Cups. Next, we're going to look at how to move forward during this Mercury retrograde. You have this enemy card. It says rival, frenemies, competitors, hostility, be vigilant, opposing ideas, inner conflict, revenge, and clashing. You have this unlocking card. It says resolutions, revelations, openness, new path, solutions, destiny, success, significant, answers, and influential. So, again, I think Libra has dealt with frenemies for a long time. And so a lot of you could, again, be focusing on more of those concentrated connections. But like I said, I think you're unlocking solutions here. And, I kind of said this at the beginning of the reading, that this retrograde seems to be one that's bringing in, breakthroughs or kind of answers, which is good. You have the Two of Wands, the Nine of Cups, and the King of Pentacles. The Two of Wands is like straightforward, diligent work, of course, or it's kind of like making progress, right? So a very good card for making progress in your life. But usually we have to let something stand on its own right here, and we have to get out into the world. We have to take the lead and, kind of take a little bit of a risk to go build something new. And so I feel like a lot of you are doing that. You have the Nine of Cups. Nine of Cups is fulfillment, wish fulfillment. I think this is what you should focus on, is like more doing things from a position of fulfillment, as in, if I do this thing, is it going to fulfill me? Ace of Cups, is it going to cause me to overflow? If the answer is yes, like the more we can be in this energy right here, the more likely it is we will get something we wish for. A lot of people read this card as a card of a wish, which it kind of is, but, it's really a card of being in fulfillment. The reason he's getting a wish is because he's already in the energy of what he wants. So the more we can stay in that energy, the better. You have the King of Pentacles. Again, these readings have been very surprising as far as money is concerned. They've been positive. I said this in the November monthly readings were very positive financially. Obviously, we're not in a great financial time if you're paying attention. But, again, that doesn't mean that we can't make changes or do things that could increase our wealth or increase our abundance. So, and, really, this is like the time that we're in, is that we have to do it on our own. No one is coming to save us. Neptune and Aries next year, when Neptune moves it back in Aries, it's like the problem with Neptune and Aries is looking for a savior, looking for someone who has the answers. Neptune and Aries, again, very similar to Neptune and Pisces, and wants us to realize that we have to save ourselves, right? And so, again, we're kind of like in a time where I think we all are going to, I don't even know what it looks like. It's like Neptune and Pisces alone is unpredictable. Like I said, because we're not seeing things clearly. It's like if Neptune is like being in the middle of the ocean with 10,000 foot waves with a billion hurricanes above your head. It's like you're not going to be able to see a goddamn thing in front of you, right? So it's like we can't really predict it, but Neptune and Pisces will definitely lead to financial changes. I've been saying this since 2016. And, really, I think we're going to start to see that at the beginning of next year. It's going to start, it's kind of starting now, obviously, but, again, we're going to see more stuff. And so I think we have to pay attention to what we can do, with our own skills, basically. He has these grapes on his cloak. And the grapes in the tarot, they represent having a specific skill that you can do well. So, if you're looking for money, it's like, how can you use your skills? With the Two of Wands, you have the Five of Cups. This is like fearing regret is really what this is. Two of Wands is a future card. And so with the Five of Cups here, it would be like you saying, it's like you understand that you want to make a change or you want to take the lead on something. But the Five of Cups is like, I'm afraid that I'm going to regret making this change. But really, you're not, Libra, because you're being asked to make the change, obviously. So I would let go of the fear or regret. With the Nine of Cups, you have the Knight of Cups. Definitely a little bit of love in this reading. Again, take your time, right? During a Mercury retrograde, there's no need to rush. You can get into a connection, just start with communication. And if after the retrograde things get better or stay the same or whatever, then obviously it could be a good connection. If things get worse, then leave. With the King of Swords, you have the Three of Swords, the King of Pentacles, you have the Three of Swords. Definitely a good time for healing and, resting, relaxing, recovering. The Three of Swords is about forgiveness. With the Three of Swords, we have to forgive ourselves, basically, in our own heart. And if we do that, then we will heal. Next, what do you know? Your first card is this happiness card, Ace of Cups, right? The more happy you can be no matter what, the more you will be in that Nine of Cups energy, the better for you, Libra. So there you go. You have this not card that says unsuccessful plans. I think we need to pay attention to what is not working. And by the way, if something isn't working, that doesn't mean it's not going to work right now. We still have Uranus and Gemini for, a few more days after this video is published. But Uranus has already been in Gemini. Uranus in Gemini says if you bump against the wall, there's probably a better solution by going around the wall. So, that's kind of what we have to do right now. You have this Fox that says shrewdness and resourcefulness, especially in business. Yes, I think Fox energy is the best energy right now because, Fox energy is about being tactical. It's about finding the best way of doing things and maybe not necessarily going in and attacking a goal that you want to accomplish, but thinking and saying, what is the best approach to this thing that I'm setting out to do? And, that's what I would do with that card. You have this Sunrise card. It says new creative ideas, new ventures, a fresh start. Like I said, definitely seems to be like a fresh start retrograde time, or something. I don't know. I don't know what to call it, but anything new with that Two of Wands twice in your reading that you want to work on, I would. You have this Ant card. It says work, achievement, success. So there's plenty of success for you. Again, I think picking one thing and making it happen, especially next year, Saturn and Aries, it's like Saturn and Aries is pick one thing, make it happen. So, that's what I would be working on if I were a Libra, and if this wants to focus, whatever. But this looks pretty good, Libra. I like it. So thank you for being here. Make sure to leave a comment, and definitely enjoy your week.